In the last 6 months, the midsize sedan segment has received a major injection of style, starting with this 2013 Ford Fusion. Look at this thing. It's downright attractive. And how often can you say that about a midsize sedan? I mean, look at the nose. This looks like an Aston Martin nose, not a blue oval nose. Along with the Fusion is the Mazda 6, which we recently drove, which is also, in my opinion, one of the most beautiful vehicles, not just in the midsize sedan segment, but for all vehicles. So let's focus on the Fusion right here. Made a lot of changes for this generation Fusion, and this thing is setting the world on fire. The Fusion is obviously a big success because it is now the third best-selling midsize sedan, the fourth best-selling passenger car in America, selling almost 270,000 units annually. Ford has really stepped up its game with what's under the hood. The base engine is a 2.5-liter four-cylinder engine with 170 horsepower and 170 pound-feet of torque, achieving 22 miles to the gallon in the city and 34 on the highway. The 1.6-liter EcoBoost is clearly the engine of choice for fuel economy-minded consumers with 178 horsepower, 184 pound-feet of torque, but it achieves 25 miles to the gallon in the city and a whopping 37 on the highway. For those of you looking for a V6 in your Fusion, forget about it. Ford has done away with it because only 15% of you actually took that as an option. So what we have here is a wonderful engine. It's a 2-liter four-cylinder EcoBoost engine that gets 240 horsepower and 270 pound-feet of torque, all while achieving 22 miles to the gallon in the city, 33 on the highway. Standard transmission on all three engine options is a 6-speed automatic transmission. If you want a manual, it's only available in the 1.6-liter EcoBoost. Ford has really stretched the limits of what it's doing with the sheet metal on the Fusion. As you can see, a lot of beautiful creases here. This thing just looks a lot more expensive. In fact, it looks longer than it is. One of the design elements that Ford incorporated into the Fusion is adding a very sloped roofline. Now, headroom in the back is a little compromised, but my God, look at the end result. This thing looks beautiful because it looks like a coupe, not so much like a boxy sedan. One of the reasons that the Fusion looks so good is because Ford drew some design elements from the Mondeo, its European midsize sedan, and you know what? It looks great. As you can see, this deck lid looks very aerodynamic, and this car is very aerodynamic, much more so than the outgoing model. You got a nice deck lid going here, nice, very athletic, kind of thin tail lights. This thing just looks great standing still. You know what? It's even better to drive. If you would have told me that this interior belonged to the Ford Fusion, I would have said, you're crazy. But my God, they did it. It's downright beautiful. This instrument panel is one of the nicest in the industry. You've got a beautiful 8-inch navigation screen. You've got great touch controls here. This has the Sony MyTouch, which is one of the best systems in the industry. And of course, you have Microsoft Sync. And the gauges, my God, you only have an analog speedometer, but everything else, it's all LCD screens. This thing looks futuristic and it's just beautiful. I love being on the inside of this car because you really feel like you're driving a much more expensive car than its $30,000 price tag. The 3 trim levels available on the Fusion, the base model is an S starting at around $22,500. Then you have an SE, around $24,000 base price, and the top of the line titanium, which we're driving today, starts at just over $30,000, nicely equipped, about $35,000. And that's kind of in line with the rest of the competitors. I can tell you one thing, you're not going to miss your V6 when you get behind the wheel of this 2-liter EcoBoost. A ton of torque, great horsepower, and great fuel economy. It's really a great trend that the auto industry has incorporated in abandoning the V6 and getting these high output 4-cylinder engines. And the one thing I don't like about the Fusion is the steering. It feels very disconnected. It's electronic steering, and that's the trend because it saves money, it saves gas, but I think they could have done a better job. Even some of the cheaper Kias have adjustable steering modes, Sport and Comfort and Normal, and I think that the Ford could certainly benefit from that. Other than that, it's a great looking car, and I wouldn't quite put it ahead of some of the Japanese competitors yet, but I will say this, it's clearly the best American midsize sedan you can buy, and it's definitely one of the top 3 or 4 midsize sedans available on the market today. And there you have it, the all-new Ford Fusion.